Welcome into another episode of Mood Swings with Liv Moods, and in just a moment, joined by Mark Robinson. This, as always, is presented by Landmark Lincoln. Shout out to our friends over at Landmark Lincoln. Make sure you head to their location off of Bellevue and Broadway to figure out why they have been the #1 Lincoln dealer in Colorado for as long as they have. I say it every show. I'm going to say it again. I am the proud new owner of a 2025 Lincoln Nautilus SUV of the year and could not love my car more. So if you need a new car, you know somebody that needs a new car, make sure you head over to Landmark Lincoln and potentially join me in joining the Landmark Lincoln family. Okay, enough about vehicles. Let's get into the show.
Hello and welcome in.
Please do not leave your luggage unattended on the station.
Welcome to the show.
We are live in studio for what feels like doomsday, Mark. Mark, that was really not great. By the way, you guys, we got to the studio, a few hours ago?
Before me, I got here before tip-off.
Okay, so
And
Mark's been here a while.
I'll tell you, I walked in here with a pep in my step, excited for
Mhm.
playoff basketball.
Yep.
After all the BS that went on a few days prior to all this leading up, the Jaden McDaniels comments, all the ridiculousness. I walked in here.
Of
Here
course.
we-
Of
here we go.
course. I
Here we
think
go.
I think you are like most Nuggets fans that felt like, okay, game 2 was dropped and it had no business being dropped, right? Like that wasn't supposed to happen. This Nuggets team is better than that. We know that. The Nuggets know that. So I think like most Nuggets fans, we watched that game and we said, this is not going to happen again. Surely not, right? Surely not. This Nuggets team is not only going to tidy up the things that went wrong in game 2, but they're also going to use that Jaden McDaniels trash talk as some fuel, right? Jaden McDaniels, let's just get it out on the table right now. Right here, right now, we're going to be honest. Jaden McDaniels didn't actually say a ton that was incorrect. I want to be very clear when I say I love this Denver Nuggets team with my whole being, but we do struggle defensively, and we have for some time. Now, there were some names he named on there that I don't think he had business naming and lumping this whole category. I get it. It was, he made it personal, but that was exactly what I was hoping would be the fuel, not only tidying up mistakes from game 2, but also using that fuel from Jaden McDaniels, where he did make it personal in this rivalry, to then motivate this team to be better. And what ended up happening is Jaden McDaniels made it personal. He talked his trash. He called people out by name, and we came out and we gave him more fuel for his fire.
And it's so disappointing because to all the points that you just made, after everything that happened in game 2, despite a lot of negatives, Adelman said it himself after the game. There was a lot of aspects about the way the Nuggets played in game 2 with a 1-0 series lead in front of a home crowd that were positive. A lot of things about that game, you take them and you say, we are going to implement this full steam ahead for game 3. And then it's just an added fire that you have Jaden McDaniels making that deadpan comment about, like you said, personally calling out Jokic, Jamal, Cam Johnson, Tim Hardaway Jr. by name. How does that not light a fire under you? I was fully expecting, especially Cam Johnson specifically, if you listen to what he said at practice, he was pissed. He was furious.
And rightfully so.
Yeah. And then you go out there and you look like you're playing in the G League in that game, in my opinion.
It was bad. Extremely
lazy defensive efforts. At one point in the first half, the paint points were 30-8 in favor of Minnesota. 30-8. Do you hear me?
Do you hear me? Yeah.
30-8.
Yeah. It's insane. It's insane. And here's the deal. I mean, genuinely, I think most Denver Nuggets fans, we're very protective of our squad, right? So to hear Jaden McDaniels make those comments, it was like, how dare you? How dare you talk about our guys like that? And what we were really hoping in game 3 was for the Denver Nuggets to prove to Jaden McDaniels that he was incorrect. And unfortunately, what we saw was actually the opposite. We gave him not only fuel to his fire, but we made him look like this mastermind, brilliant basketball player who read us for filth and was accurate. It's a really, not only was this game itself a tad embarrassing, but the response to Jaden McDaniels was also very embarrassing. It was not a good showing. It was not what you want to see from a team that I think a lot of us believe really could go all the way. This is a team that I believe, even still, and maybe it's delusion, but even still, I look at this team and the pieces that they have, and I say to myself, they could win a championship with this roster. They absolutely could. And I think many people thought that this entire season. They thought it preseason when we added some of these pieces, like a Tim Hardaway, brought Bruce Brown back. We made moves in the offseason that really felt like this Denver team was invested in a championship year. And what we saw both from game 2 blowing a 19-point lead and then what we just saw in game 3, which was absolute belt to what, it really makes you question, is this team capable of going all the way?
Well, one of the things that you have to think about in terms of going all the way is the mental component. And we've seen about every mental component you could dream up in this series so far. So much lore, so much back and forth, people making comments, people getting upset, mysteries around injuries. Is Ant going to play this, and that, blah, 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 blah. But at the end of the day, you have to go out and you have to play basketball.
Yep.
And that is exactly what we did not see from a Denver standpoint tonight. From my perspective, having watched this team closely all year, on and off, being at the building and talking with everybody, defensive identity was the number one problem this year. We were the number one offense in the league. We were the number one offense in the NBA. That alone, with Nikola Jokic in your starting 5 as your center, that should at least be able to get you through the first round versus the 6th seed Minnesota Timberwolves. And defensive struggles were apparent tonight. Not terrible, but they were apparent. You cannot have the number one offense in the National Basketball Association during the regular season and come out in a playoff game and do what you just did in that game. That was blasphemous.
It was horrible. It was really horrible.
Liv, Zeke Naji checked into the game in the first quarter.
Listen, guys, never thought in my wildest dreams that Zeke Naji, that I'd be sitting in a first quarter playoff game going, is Zeke going to be the guy for us? Is he going to get the job done? I mean, we were really pulling out all the stops is what was happening, because what we were getting from our starting 5, and let's also get this out on the table really quick. Does this kind of put into light even more, because we know this, but does this put into light even more the impact of an Aaron Gordon? Of course it does. Of course it does. Because normally, no AG, no problem. You've got P-Watt. You don't have P-Watt either.
Took the words right out of my mouth.
And that is really where you saw such a drop-off, in my opinion. We have seen this Nuggets team win without Aaron Gordon. And that is not to discredit the impact of Aaron Gordon, because anybody that follows and watches the Denver Nuggets knows he is one of the most valuable, impactful, and important players on this team. However, normally without Aaron Gordon, you have a Peyton Watson who proved himself in more ways than one, offensively, defensively, you name it. He proved himself. He rose to the occasion. So it's really difficult when you don't have AG, your starter, who is one of your most valuable players, and then you also don't have Peyton Watson coming up behind him to kind of supplement that difference. We've got Roy White here. He says, I watched this game and I was so tired of listening to the announcers. All of them were bragging up the Timberwolves. They would not shut up about them. All announcers should announce the game and not be bragging up one team. Roy, I'm going to tell you right now, I agree. There needs to be a little bit of neutral tone in commentators' voices when they're commentating on a game. That being said, I do think the Timberwolves earned their bragging rights tonight. I mean, there wasn't, and this is coming from a Nuggets fan, Roy, okay? But there was not a lot of positive things to say about the Denver Nuggets. We sat in this chair and I was trying to draw up a tweet or something I could put into the universe, and I just kept saying over and over, I have nothing to say. I don't have words for what is happening right now. So yeah, I mean, I really get sick of the Denver Nuggets not ever getting their proper credit and not having any, praise by commentators, if you will. But I mean, I don't know. How are you feeling about this one? I don't think there was a lot of positive things to say today.
Yeah, generally speaking, I agree with you that it needs to be tilted towards both directions. But in this game specifically, when you got Bowen's Highland with sidestep highlight reel threes, you got Jaden McDaniels posters after he went completely viral all over social media, putting the Nuggets on blast. Not to mention I'm just gonna go through this real quick. I'm gonna go down the line here because this is just, I'm looking at this and I want to read it out loud because it's so sad.
Yeah.
Cameron Johnson, 6 points, 2 for 6 from field goal, 0 for 3 from 3. Spencer Jones, 6 points, 2 for 3 from field goal, 2 for 2 from 3. Not bad. I'd say put it up a little more if you're Spencer Jones. Jokic had 27 points. That's like a silently interesting thing to me because I thought he had no energy in that game.
Well, imagine though, you're saying Jokic, 27, right? Imagine though, if some of those threes were falling and he had a little bit more energy, because based on the eye test, if you would have had me at gunpoint, Mark, and said, how many points do you think Jokic scored based on what you watched? I would have said 12.
And to your point, he was 7 from 26 from the field.
There you go.
2 for 10 from 3.
Yikes.
11 for 11 from the line.
My gosh.
11 for 11 from the line. Jamal Murray, 16 points, 5 for 17 from the field, 0 for 5 from behind the arc. Jamal Murray not making a single three. The blue arrow can't knock down a single 3-point shot.
And that happened in game 1.
In the postseason.
That happened in game 1 too. He had 0 3-pointers made in game 1. None of the Nuggets threes were falling in game 1, but specifically Jamal Murray, the guy that we watch elevate himself to a whole nother stratosphere in the postseason. Game 1 had 0 3-pointers made. We saw it again in game 3. So not only were you missing Aaron Gordon and then missing Aaron Gordon's counterpart in Peyton Watson, you had Jamal Murray who couldn't get hot from the 3-point line. And that is, as we've now seen this season, based on the leadership and just the offensive firepower that is Jamal Murray, when he's off, if you will, it is exceptionally detrimental to the team.
Absolutely. And in game 1, he immediately adjusted and found ways to supplement for the fact that Jamal Murray is valuable to this team because, in my opinion, primarily his 3-point shooting.
Yes.
His ability to draw space, get away from defenders, and just knock down 3 after 3 after 3. When we're at Ball Arena, he feeds off the energy of the crowd.
Absolutely.
He feeds off of his personal ability to just keep making shots. If the more 3-pointers he makes, the more later on he's going to make in total. I don't know if that made sense, but like if he makes 2 3-pointers back to back, oh boy, here he comes.
Yeah. That's all he needs. Really.
And his ability in game 1 to supplement that with, driving to the window, getting to the line and shooting free throws. That was really good to see. There was none of that tonight. And not just for Murray. I mean, Christian Braun had 2 points, 0 for 4. Christian Braun didn't make a single shot besides 2 free throws. He didn't make a single shot.
Oof. I mean, I when I look at the missing pieces here, because clearly we know that Aaron Gordon is one of them, right? Jokic was very visibly off tonight, right? And I want to give a little bit of grace to the fact that I know for a fact this Timberwolves defense their priority is suffocating Nikola Jokic. Make him as uncomfortable as humanly possible. But even in moments where he could get away and he could create space, he just wasn't himself. He did not look. I think what was frustrating to that comment right there, buckets were the problem. I think what was frustrating is they didn't look hungry for it. Frankly, it just, there was a lack of energy. And we could sit here all day long and talk about the travel and the exhaustion and the long season. It's a long season for every team. It's a long season for every superstar. So I don't like to go down that road too much because we could play the excuse game literally for hours, all night long. We could go around and around and around with excuses as to why we ended up here. But the reality is they just had a very lackluster, I don't want to say they didn't care, but it certainly, they looked a little too calm, all things considered. We know what these series versus the Timberwolves look like. We know who this Timberwolves team is. Anybody who has paid attention to the Nuggets for even a millisecond knows how dangerous this Timberwolves team can be. And it didn't even seem like they had urgency around the fact that you cannot let this Timberwolves team get any type of confidence at all. And we let them just do whatever they wanted. And we could not find our rhythm whatsoever. It was very hard to watch.
We just let them walk all over us.
That's
in
exactly it.
every single facet of the game.
That's exactly
We
it.
were playing really strong defensively to start out. They just gave it right back. Extremely efficient defense.
Yep.
They started finding their scoring opportunities. They kept the defensive abilities up. Anthony Edwards had a ton of fouls tonight. So much physicality from him. So much physicality from the entire starting five, from everybody on that team. They were so hungry. They wanted it. And there was none of that in this specific game. I know we keep bringing this up, but I want to shed some more light on it because in this specific game, in this situation, it needs to be talked about. The Jaden McDaniels comments, all the craziness, all the lore, everybody that talked with the media at Nuggets practice right before that flight, everybody addressed it. Adelman brushed it right off his shoulder, made a joke about it. Cam Johnson said he didn't care. Said, I don't care. There's no room for that. And then Christian Brown, this answer, it stood out to me, interestingly enough. Somebody asked him the same question. What'd you make of the Jaden McDaniels? Do you think that this is a motivator? And he said, nah, you don't need that kind of stuff. You don't need bulletin board material. It's the playoffs. You should be motivated in the first place. Well, gee, Christian, you just dropped a nothing bomb in game 3. You dropped 2 points. You missed 2 free throws. Seems like you should maybe care a little bit more about the opposing team putting you on blast, calling you out by name, because you just got embarrassed in game 3. Embarrassed.
Gee, Christian. I mean, really, though, like, I actually have tears in my eyes, guys. That was hilarious. Gee, Christian. I mean, truly, though, like, what is that part of the problem, though? Is that too cool for school demeanor of, oh, we don't care? Well, maybe you should. Maybe you should care that Jaden McDaniel sat in a flippin' locker room and called you out by name. We never see that. We see players say all the time, their defense is not up to par. We're not worried. We have a game plan. We're good. To sit and call people out by name, and for the Nuggets to kind of be so like, yeah, we're not worried about it. Maybe it's time to get worried about it. Maybe why? Actually, what I want to know is, that's exactly what this game looked like to me. Game 3 was, you didn't look worried enough. That's where I have a hard time. So these casual responses to Jaden McDaniels talking all this trash, calling you out by name. He didn't subtweet. He directly added you. He mentioned you at Christian Brown. That's what he said, basically. He added all of these people, and it just seemed like it was so, yeah, I know, we're not worried about it. I think you should be. I think you should be, because, by the way, this has been a brewing rivalry. This has been a very competitive, series in years past. Regular season games always feel like playoff games. Like, why does it feel, Mark, like the fans are more worried than they are? Because I'm terrified of this team. Absolutely terrified. There is nothing about the Timberwolves that makes me sleep peacefully at night. Nothing.
I don't understand it. I think too much is being thought about with like the regular season, both against the Timberwolves and just in general. Like, I wonder if there's this complex in their head of, we won 12 games to end the year. We beat the T-Wolves 3-1 in the regular season. We're the 3 seed. Like, we're going to take care of business. This is going to be easy. But the Timberwolves are playing phenomenal basketball right now.
Yes.
I don't understand how you can, because the next thing that I was going to bring up, and the point I'm going to make can segue into this. I don't understand how, after things that happened after game 2 happen, you can just kind of nonchalantly coast into this game.
Correct.
There has to be some sort of a mental switch that turns on. Something has to give in terms of what is going to motivate them, what's going to excite them. What I want to ask you, as I throw this up on the screen, is now the time, as in right now, after getting embarrassed in game 3, does something click for this team? And do they say, we gotta figure this out. We gotta go back to Denver with a tied series. We got to show our fans that we know how to play basketball in our building.
Yeah.
Can they still, is there still time to flip the switch?
I think so. And interesting, I'm normally not one to be on the side of positivity here and say, oh, they're down and I saw all these hundreds of things that went wrong, and I still believe, I'm normally pretty like, oh, not feeling great. The reason I say that I still believe that there's a good chance that this Nuggets team, this is exactly what they needed to happen, is because, and it's frustrated me, Mark, actually. Mark has been the one that's been covering this team in Ball Arena, but it's been frustrating me to watch it from the outside. All season long, it feels like when there are these big concerns, they remain very calm about it. They don't seem to be super flustered by the idea that they drop games they shouldn't drop, or their defense isn't up to par, or their shots aren't falling. All season long, I feel like they have just been okay with these types of moments where fans are up in an uproar. I'm sitting here a little hot. I'm a little pissed off. That was frustrating. That was embarrassing. I'm not proud of what we did, but they always have remained very neutral and calm about things like this. And I do feel like my largest concern right now is I do feel like in so many ways, Nikola Jokic is the tone setter, right? When Jokic is on the bench and he's emotional and he's yelling and he's talking and those are the moments where I say, I believe in this team. I know what they're capable of. He is the centerpiece of all of this. And if he's locked in, we're okay. My concern is I'm not seeing a locked in version of Nikola Jokic right now. And maybe I am just being over dramatic. Maybe I am not, maybe I'm reading into things the wrong way, but I did not at one point in this game sense from Nikola Jokic competitive frustration. It almost looked like he was just like, it felt like he was kind of putting his hands up going, the game is over during the first quarter, when there was still enough time to get back in this thing and to make it competitive and to climb and claw our way back in. It felt like Jokic just kind of was like, nah. And that is my concern. From a talent and skill perspective, do I believe this Nuggets team? Do I believe it's doomsday and everything is over and oh my God? No, I don't. And maybe this is shedding some light on the fact that Aaron Gordon is actually the centerpiece. And when he's not present, it's a really big problem for this team. But it just felt like normally I can rely on the fact that Nikola Jokic is the centerpiece, is still locked in and is ready and hungry and wants to win and wants to compete. And I did not sense that from Nikola Jokic tonight at all. And that concerns me.
I completely agree. To go a step further, the way I usually perceive it is I think it's a three-way connection. I think Nikola Jokic is the tone setter.
That's great.
I think Nikola Jokic's energy feeds directly into Jamal Murray.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that those two's energy feeding off of one another, at that point, the third step of the train, it feeds everything. It feeds everything.
Yeah.
I mean, they're one of the best duos in the NBA.
Yeah, they are. They might just be the best duo in the NBA. Yes, 100%.
And so you got Jokic tonight. He started the game 1 for 9. He had and I know this is crazy, but he had a measly 27 points, an unimpressive, a lackadaisical 27 points.
Yeah.
A pathetic 27 points, if you ask me. I think that directly correlates to Jamal Murray 0 for 5 from behind the arc. And from there, how are you supposed to build momentum?
You're not.
How are guys like Cam Johnson, Spencer Jones, Christian Brown, guys that look up to their veterans, to
they're the
MVPs.
people. Yes, 100%, Mark. And that's the problem. And that's where I don't want to be a Debbie Downer here, guys. I really don't. I don't want to assume that they're not locked in and they're not focused and whatever. I don't want to go there. I don't. I really, really don't. But the reality is, there was a very disengaged version of Nikola Jokic. And when you're playing the Timberwolves and the series is tied, I just would assume that there's a little bit more energy, urgency. This Nuggets team lacked urgency. It's like, yeah, we've still got a series left. We're good. Many games will be played. The series is tied. We're fine. I mean, and the only reason that really actually frustrates me pretty bad is I know the energy that we would be getting with AG and P. Watt out there. I got to tell you, not having Peyton Watson makes me sick to my stomach because he's one of my all-time favorite Denver Nuggets in terms of defending the Minnesota Timberwolves. He has that same, he's an energy matcher when it comes to the Timberwolves. He really, really is. So not having P-Watt is very, very detrimental. Not having AG speaks for itself. So I think what frustrates me is the fact that I think Nikola Jokic is the tone setter. I think Nikola Jokic sets the tone. Every player is allowed to have an off night. Every player is allowed to have a rough game. Every player is allowed to miss shots. But to be disengaged and to lack urgency in a playoff game versus your arch nemesis that has had your number for years now, there's no excuse for it. I don't care about exhaustion. I don't care about, having heavy legs and feeling tired. It's hard for me to make excuses when every player out there has to play the same 82 game season. It's a long season. It's exhausting. And I just can't find an excuse that warrants your centerpiece, your MVP, the best player in the world lacking urgency in a playoff game. I can't justify it in any way, shape, or form.
This was something that I said all season long.
Yeah.
It was something that I felt very passionate about, and it goes in a little bit with what you're saying. I think the Nuggets dealt with the most adversity in the NBA this year.
Absolutely.
With all their injuries.
Absolutely.
They went a month plus without Jokic. They went a while without Jamal Murray. They went
Absolutely.
God knows how long without Aaron Gordon and Peyton Watson. There were times when Tim Hardaway Jr. was out. There were times where name a player on this roster, he was out for a period of time this year.
Yes.
And I kept saying over and over again, no matter what microphone I was in front of, no matter what camera I was looking at, this adversity is going to be just what they needed in the postseason.
I agree.
And unfortunately, unfortunately, I'm sitting here after game 3 and I feel like I might've been wrong, because when you're a few hours ahead of tip off in a tied series going into your arch rival's building, that not to mention I've heard is one of the hardest buildings to play in the NBA.
Yeah.
And you see that one of your starting 5 players is out. This should be the moment in time when Jokic, Murray, leaders on this team, looks everyone in the locker room in the eye and says, so what? We've dealt with this all damn season long.
Yep.
We've gone stretches this year without every gosh darn player on this roster. We can do this.
Absolutely.
But it was quite frankly the exact opposite. And something else that you said earlier that I wanted to bring up again, there was such a calmness to David Adelman, to all the players this year. When they would lose games without star players, without guys stepping up, there was a calmness of, we know what we're doing. We're one of the best teams in the Western Conference. We have Nikola Jokic. We have the best center in the league on our team. We have Jamal Murray, one of the best three-point shooters. He's a first-time All-Star on our team. We're fine. And actually, during the regular season, it doesn't bother me a ton.
But now
there's
no excuse.
There is no excuse to have no urgency.
Absolutely. And I could not agree with that more. That's where I struggle. It's like, I am okay with a missed free throw every once in a while. I'm actually not, but it happens, okay? Like, it happens, and I can understand that. I'm okay with your threes not falling. I'm okay with our defensive identity slipping because we have tired legs. I'm okay with that. What I'm not okay with, what I cannot justify, and what I cannot excuse is a lack of urgency versus your arch nemesis in the Minnesota Timberwolves in a playoff game. We can't excuse that, guys. Unfortunately, we can't, because you knew you didn't have Aaron Gordon, which means you have to play 5 times harder to compensate for not having Aaron Gordon and not having his counterpart in Peyton Watson. You have to play tougher to compensate for not having these guys. It's not like the game started and then you realized, oh, we don't have Aaron Gordon. You knew you didn't have Aaron Gordon, right? You knew that. So for me, I really, really struggle with the lack of urgency, the kind of disengaged type of basketball where we're kind of casual almost about losing, or casual about Jaden McDaniels calling us out by name. I struggle with that. I struggle with this casual nature. There's nothing casual about winning a championship. And what I struggle with the absolute most is this is the team that could win a championship. I wouldn't care this much if I didn't have any faith in this team going all the way, but I do. I do have faith in this team going all the way. So it frustrates me when I feel like it's right in front of them and there's simply just a lack of urgency. So now I say, Mark, we're talking about Jokic being the centerpiece and him lacking an urgency tonight. He didn't look engaged. He didn't look locked in. He didn't look focused. Where does that typically come from? If it's not coming from the player himself, it normally comes from the coach. So here I ask, because Twitter is popping, people are talking, and the conversation is now around, is the coaching part of the problem?
I think it might be.
It might
And
be.
all
It might
year-
be.
All year long, I've been in camp. Adelman's not the problem.
I love Adelman. Let's make it clear for the viewers out there. I do not want this to become a he is the problem. But my point is, Mark, and help me spin this and we can see if we can come up with a reasoning here. But my point is, I don't think it should always be on Nikola Jokic to be the tone setter. It's not, he's going to have rough nights, right? Nikola Jokic is going to have rough nights and bad games, and his personal life is going to have issues, whatever the case. These are human beings at the end of the day. My point is, when you're glue guy, when your centerpiece, when your literal everything is off, who is supplementing that? Right? Is it has to come from the coach. It has to come from someone that is in a position of power, that is listened to, that has authority. And I just, based on the kind of like calm and lackadaisical nature of Adelman's responses throughout the season when they lose, it makes me wonder, is he calm and cool and collected at halftime during this game? Because he sure shouldn't have been. He should have been ripping them a new one. And I can't picture him doing that. I cannot picture Adelman standing in there and going, you guys are the problem. This is horrible. You suck. Figure it out. I just can't see it. And so that's where I'm sitting here going, what's got to give? Where do we go from here? How do we fix this? Because this is a championship roster. It is.
It 100% is a championship roster. And I think about all this Adelman stuff. He to me, he's two-faced, because to the media and to you know, all those types of things, he is so relaxed and he just loves talking about basketball at the end of the day. And if they lose, he'll say, well, we did this right and we did that right. And he'll look at the analytics. But at the same time, he got a T in game one. And
right.
I've seen him scream.
That's actually true.
Bench.
I have seen him foam at the mouth before.
Yeah.
So I do know that it is very, very possible for him to get fired up.
Yeah. But
Absolutely.
Where was that tonight is my question.
Yeah.
And here's another thing to talk about, think about. Maybe it was there. Maybe the players aren't hearing it anymore.
And that's also a problem. Let's talk about that, Mark. Let's talk about the fact that while we as Nuggets fans may be sitting back and going, is coaching the problem? It might be. It might be, because to my point, right? If Jokic is the tone setter and he's having an off night, who's setting the tone? I can't picture Adelman doing it, but to your point, Mark, I've seen him foam at the mouth before on the sidelines and get a technical. We've seen that before. Maybe there's a world where, and this is a conversation that's bigger than us, we don't know. We're not in the practice. We're not in the game or in the locker room with them. But is there a world where Adelman is foaming at the mouth and he's just not being respected as the authoritative figure, or he's not being listened to in the way that he needs to be? And either way, it's a problem. You have to have a coach that is not just respected, but almost feared. Like, if I don't listen to what he's telling me to do, I'm scared for what comes next. I don't see them being scared of him. And that's where I think I see so much of this like relaxed and calm demeanor. And it's very, very frustrating to watch. But it is kind of the best way I can put this game 3 is there was no urgency whatsoever. And they just kind of looked like they were okay however this game ended. And it ended ugly AF.
Ugly.
I
wish we had hot mics while we were watching this game.
Oh, I wish not. I wish not. But because you guys, I actually would love for you guys to view me as this like prim and proper and cutesy girl. And she's got no, I was I had my sailor mouth came out, to be honest with you. I didn't have pleasant things to say. And I'm going to tell you why. When you're a diehard fan of your team, when you love your team, you only want the best for your team. That's where it comes from. It doesn't come from a place of me trying to be, Miss Know-It-All. And I know, no, I really just love this team and I want them to win. And when they don't do what I know they're capable of doing, my potty mouth comes out. What can I say? Not prim. Guys, do you picture me being prim and proper? Probably not. But what I am, I'm supposed to be girly and dainty and cute. That's what you're supposed to be as a girl, apparently. I'm not so much that, especially not when my team is not just losing, but losing a game they shouldn't lose. How about that? Or underperforming, under-delivering, and kind of acting like they don't care. That right there, Mark, now that's where I get ticked off. That's where the ticked off comes from is it's one thing to lose a game. It happens. This is the NBA. You're going to lose games. Hell, I remember the games that the Denver Nuggets lost to the Washington Wizards. Should it have happened? Absolutely not. Did it happen? Yes. Did I move on? Of course. The games I remember the most, though, are the ones where they kind of acted like they didn't care about losing. Did you sense a little bit of that tonight? Because it really, really started to feel to me like they just were kind of okay with whatever happened out of this game.
I didn't sense a little bit of it.
A lot of it.
I sensed it for the entire game.
Okay, good.
Honestly,
I'm glad I'm not alone.
Honestly, from the first shot I saw go up, I immediately, I put a comment up a few minutes ago that was like, this felt like a game that we knew we were going to lose as soon as the ball went up in the air.
And how gross.
Yeah.
Really, guys?
Come on.
Be a professional. For God's sakes. Really? When you have the best, Mark, oh, so help me. Now I'm getting fired up all over again. Holy cow. When you have the best player in the world, Mark, bless you, the best player in the world, Mark. Sorry, one of our producers just sneezed. How obnoxious, right?
How polite.
Actually, it wasn't even a producer. It was my fiance. Shut up, Alex. No, I'm just kidding. Listen, guys, there's so much going on. My emotions are everywhere. But here's the deal, okay? When you have the best player in the world and the best 1-2 punch in Jamal and Jokic, that should actually be enough, right?
1,000%.
That should be enough. We shouldn't even have to keep having more conversations. It should literally be as easy as you have Nikola effing Jokic and you have Jamal Murray, who is having a career Jamal star year. That should be it. Now, that's not it. That's the worst part about it. That's not it. You've got Tim Hardaway off the bench. You've got AG. He wasn't there tonight, but you normally have AG. There are so many pieces to this puzzle that just 2 + 2 = championship. And here we sit, 2 + 2 = belt to behind.
It's ridiculous.
It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
So, Liv, all this talk about Coach Adelman, is
Yes.
he setting the right tone?
Yes. Where's the tone?
Is he a good voice for this team right now? I'm dying to hear what he is thinking after this game.
Well,
and we've got it ready to go.
Okay.
Should we hear from Coach?
I think we should hear from Coach.
Let's hear from Coach Adelman after the Nuggets suffered an embarrassing loss in Game 3 of the first round of the playoffs.
There's Game 7 before that. McDaniel's comments after the game. Just how did this group come out so flat tonight?
Well, the shooting was, really put us behind the 8 ball to start the game. They only gave up 25 points in the first quarter. That's actually a very good number. We just had a hard time making shots tonight. And I think, we talked about it after the game. Our physicality offensively has got to get better. I thought our physicality defensively in the second half was much better. I went small. I tried to put a shooting lineup out there, and that led to what we knew could happen, the size issue. It's just the way it is. They got to the paint, and then if you double that with transition, that's just, you're going to put yourself in a tough spot, not to mention only 39 points at the half. So I did think throughout the second half we found some things defensively, but offensively we got to screen better, we got to cut better, we got to handle the pressure much better than we did tonight.
David,
Rudy's defended Nikola very well in this series. They've defended him as a team very well. Are you concerned at all about the 5 for 16 from 2-point range? Like, is there anything that you're seeing as far as just his touch inside the arc right now?
He just missed. I mean, I really mean it. I think, I thought the threes were actually really good shots for the most part. The 2-point shots, as far as the face-up jumpers, getting to the rim, these are things that he's going to do, and he had a tough night. And it happens to players. This guy's played 1 million playoff games. There's nights that are poor, and I think he'll bounce back. And I think everybody needs a day to understand that we just did not play well offensively. I mean, you look at the stats, we only had 10 turnovers in this game. It just was the pressure. I thought we didn't exert physicality, offensively to help each other out. And I thought when we got sped up from their pressure, that led to some unorganized possessions in the first half. And we have to understand on the road, much like last year with the Clipper series, you have to execute. You got to get great shots each time down. And obviously everybody tonight struggled from the field, shooting 34%, 25 from 3. That's not who we've been throughout the season. And usually on those kind of nights, I would come in here and say, we can't turn it over 19 times, give up 30 points. That's not what happened today. So lots to improve on offensively, and a lot of stuff I think we can build on defensively.
And then did you feel like the transition defense, when it struggled, especially in the second quarter, did you feel like that was kind of an uncharacteristic thing for this group? Or?
Yeah, and I thought, the back-to-back plays where I had to call timeouts, one was off a make, and then the next one's off a miss. Slow developing, one pass, throw it up the sideline. Guys were trying to get back to their matchups as opposed to just match up. They're going to play faster in this building than they do on the road. All teams do. And it was, it's unfortunate because I thought the group that started the second quarter really competed. Really shout out to Zeke, Spence, the way they competed. But every time we'd make a run, we'd give up a runaway layup after a make or a miss. You can't do that in a playoff game. So we'll definitely watch the film. That has to get better.
David, what do you feel like you guys can do to get guys like Christian and Cam going offensively so it's not so reliant on Jamal and Joker offensively?
Yeah, I really mean this. I think to get those guys going, they have to screen better. If you can free up your best players, that's going to bring rotations. That's going to bring a low man. That leads to ball movement threes, things of that nature. So, yeah, I know they're frustrated. Everybody was frustrated today. Our two best players in the field obviously really struggled. And so we'll look at the tape and we'll get better at it. Now, if I have to simplify actions to make it easier for these guys, we can do that. And sometimes you have to do that against pressure. Like I said, last year was the same thing in the playoffs. Sometimes you have to dumb things down to be better because it gets you organized and gets you into simple actions just to free each other up and make the game easier. So we'll go through that. We'll talk about it. We talked about it after the game, but it needs to be seen on film.
You mentioned the size in this matchup. You'd miss Gordon and Watson in any matchup, but particularly how much are you missing what they do?
Yeah, we are. And it's just when Randall has the ball at the nail or Reed, whoever it is, we just have to be much more active to come for the ball. Especially if it's not DiVincenzo's the next closest man. We did it a few times, but we can do a better job. And I'll admit it. You're gambling if you play small against their team, but you're hoping that translates offensively, that you're going to get better shots. And we did not do that tonight in the first half. And then that led to, honestly, a lot of mismatches down there with the bigs, the way they play. So if I have to, I'll continue to play a Zeke, a Spencer, guys that can battle in there a little bit more. But again, at some point, that small lineup has to click offensively. If they can, we can attack the two big lineups they play with.
I'm sure you'll have more answers probably tomorrow, but is there any optimism for either of those two?
I have no information tonight. I think they'll come in, see the trainers in the morning, obviously. We'll meet in the afternoon, so they'll give me a chance to, have half the day to wait and get a solid answer from the training staff. Because I do think, out of fairness to the team, we want to be prepared for who's going to play that next game. I think it just helps you because you guys know the expectation of what's going to be that night, as opposed to today where we were scrambling a little bit. But it happens in the league. It's just the way it was.
David, I know you've been in a couple of Game 7s, but just how this has developed, is this your biggest challenge, getting them ready for Game 4?
I mean, it's very similar to the Clippers series last year. Like I said, we lost a really tough Game 2. We got the doors blown off us, in L.A., and the guys came back with a really, really good mindset in Game 4. And like we talked about in there, this is a playoff series, and there's so many ups and downs. You see blowouts across the league. You see buzzer beaters. You see tough wins, tough losses. But the bottom line is it's first to 4. And we have another great opportunity in a couple of days to regain control of it, take it back to Denver the right way. And I really mean it when I say this. We've been down 0-2, tied at 2-2. We've been down 3-1. We've seen all these things. So the panic's not going to be there. It's just, but without the panic, there has to be a responsibility to get better for Game 4. And I mean it, after a loss, 2 straight losses, there were positives to look at and to build on. And then there was a ton of negatives that we have to get better at and to be more successful in the offensive end.
So they're not panicked. Well, I am. How about that?
If I was Adelman right now, you know what I'd be doing?
Huh.
I'd be on the floor like Tim Hardaway Jr.,
Throwing
banging
a
my
tantrum.
gosh darn fists on the ground.
Right.
I'd be throwing a temper tantrum.
Yes. Yes. And you know what he said? He said something about we've been here before, back against the wall, and we've seen our guys where they go into the next game and they've changed their mindset. I guess what I struggle with the absolute most is, why does it take an absolute ass whooping to change your mindset? Wouldn't you think that Game 2 was enough to motivate the mindset change? Why did that have to come after an embarrassment, really? Because that's kind of what it was. It was an embarrassment. Why do we have to see this Nuggets team back against the wall? Because we talked about this. This game to me kind of felt like one of those where whoever wins it, I think, has the edge. I don't want to go as far as saying that the Nuggets are doomed and they have no chance. I will never go there with my team, but I do feel like this particular Game 3s always feel like they give whoever wins them a bit of an edge, a bit of an advantage. So I do think right now the Timberwolves, obviously, because they're up in the series, but they have more of an edge than the Denver Nuggets do. Why does it always take this team getting to this spot? Do they like being underdogs? Is that what this is, Mark?
It seems like yes, because
I think so.
To Adelman's point just now, post game, he reminisced on LA last year and how literally, I love this saying. Shout out Adelman for saying this because it's one of my favorite things to say. Got the doors blown off them.
That's right.
An absolute belting.
Yes.
In one of those games.
Bad. An
absolute belting. And he's like, we came into that Game 4. We had a really good mindset. Where is you're backed into a corner right now.
Correct.
And the other thing you said that I completely agree with, Minnesota has 100% of the momentum, in my opinion.
Absolutely.
Because you win Game 1 as the Nuggets, you win Game 1 and you win it. It's a good win. But I kind of remember thinking after that win, like, all right, like, cool, I guess. Good job. Feel like you could have won that even more dominantly.
Of course.
And then they blow a 35-19, whatever it was, lead in Game 2. And then they get embarrassed in Game 3. That's 2 straight wins for Minnesota, 1 in Ball Arena and 1 in their own barn. They have all the momentum. They've got the McDaniels comments behind them. When are we gonna get back in the action of, oh, I forgot we're in the playoffs here. We got to light a fire under us. And because even though he said it so relaxed, I hope Adelman's right. I hope this team has a response. And I hope
better.
I hope
By the way, if they don't, they're done. They're cooked.
They
are cooked if they don't have a response.
Do you remember when Lou Dort tripped Jokic and
of course
Jokic got into it with I think it was Williams, whoever it was on OKC. It's that clip of Jokic. Like he's grabbing him by the jersey. He's pissed. He's
those
pissed.
Manic eyeballs. We need those.
I need that Jokic.
I need Tim Hardaway throwing a tantrum on the ground. I need manic eyeballs from Jokic. Like I want to see this team. I'm going to have a hot take right now. Guys, and I don't want you to take this the wrong way. This game to me kind of sort of made me question if the Nuggets have that dog in them. And that's a tough spot. And that's a tough thing for me to even say out loud because I love this team. And from a talent perspective, can this team do it? My God, of course. It's that extra, do they have championship aura? In game 3 versus the Timberwolves, there was not a lick of championship aura in sight. Not a lick of it, okay? I would go as far as saying this Nuggets team from a talent perspective. There's a comment on here that says BTA, by the way. And my mother is potentially, maybe, if she's still awake, tuning into this show. Mom, if you don't know what BTA stands for, it means belt to ass. You know? Okay? I just want to break it down for the old folks who don't understand this lingo. What that means is we got whooped. And she knows what that means because there were a few times growing up that I got a little whooping myself. So, Mom, if you're tuning in and you're seeing the comments, that's what that means. We absolutely got BTA tonight. Absolutely we did. And I think my problem is, and we're actually going to hear from Jokic shortly, which I'm very intrigued to hear. Just so you guys know, this inside information, this has very rarely, if ever, happened before, that Nikola Jokic went into the post-game presser room before Jamal Murray. He is normally the last person to speak, and he was in there before Jamal. That could mean a lot of things. Is Jokic pissed? Is he fired up? Is he trying to get it over with because he's just done? He doesn't want to deal with it? We're about to find out because we're going to hear from him shortly. But this comment, if Nuggets don't win game 4, yeah, it's over. And I actually think there's going to be a lot of Nuggets fans that maybe feel like, is it already over? I don't want to go there yet. I don't want to go there yet. I don't believe that it's already over for the Nuggets. That being said, we have to see not just improvements made. We almost need to see, Mark, a completely different squad in game 4. I'm talking from warm-ups to the very end, post-game pressers and all. I need to see this Nuggets team with a completely different aura and swagger about them to believe that they can switch things around from game 3 and go in and make a deep postseason run. Because, by the way, as a Nuggets fan, I don't just care about this series. I'm looking far beyond this series. I want this team to go all the way. All the way. And it's not up to me, Mark, or you. It's up to them.
And there's a clear path for them to do it.
I agree.
There's a clear path.
I agree.
You finished the regular season with 12 straight wins. You're the 3 seed in the Western Conference. You have a 3-time MVP.
My God, should be 5-time, by the way.
3-time MVP.
Yep.
On your roster.
Yep.
You have a brand new all-star this year who allegedly lights it up in the postseason. You have experience against every single team.
Not the allegedly. He's like, based on rumors, based on things I've heard through the grapevine, he's supposed to light it up. Haven't seen it yet. No. Okay, I'm sorry. Keep going.
You're
really onto something there.
It's
I just had to
alleged.
do that.
It's
yeah,
all
at this point, yeah, a little bit, right?
But you have a clear path to a championship.
Yes.
You have experience against the Timberwolves. You have experience against the Trailblazers or the Spurs, the next team. If you're going to see whoever you're going to see next, the Spurs are showing signs of not, obviously you've got Wemby in concussion protocol, but the Spurs are showing signs of weakness that you could capitalize on. You can beat a team like OKC because, let's be real, they're probably going to go to the Western Conference Final. As much as it makes me want to get up out of this chair and get down on that ground right there and throw a temper tantrum just
Hardaway
like Tim
style.
Hardaway Jr. But what I'm getting at is you have this golden opportunity with star players on your roster, really, really good coaching, and you're throwing it away with the attitude that you're putting in these games, with the attitude. If you lose and you put every ounce of defensive, offensive effort and physicality and mental toughness, if you put all that out on the court, I think we'd be having a completely different conversation right here. But we're talking about a loss, Liv, that it seemed like nobody gave a crap about.
And that's just it, Mark. You're absolutely right. It really is more so about, I never saw, not one time, whether they were down by 5 or they were down by 20 or they were down by, there was a moment actually in the fourth quarter with maybe 8 minutes left where we were only down by 15. And I thought to myself, we said it out loud in this studio. We said, there's a chance. And there was not one time watching them play that I said, oh, they won it. They won it. They are going to win this game. They are hungry for it. Not one time. So, Mark, as hard as this is there anything? And I don't want to sound like just a ginormous hater right now. You guys know I love my Denver Nuggets more than I love most teams out there, okay? I am a Denver girl through and through, but I love the Denver Nuggets. I don't want to just sound like a straight up certified hater tonight. I really don't. But Mark, if I forced you to pick something positive from this game, what would you say?
The bench. The bench
Yeah.
is my positive aspect of this game.
Yeah.
And it's not even that positive because in their defense, they were forced into a situation where they had to
already down
come into this game. And
Yeah.
I couldn't believe when I saw, because I think the starting five tonight was exactly the way that it's been the last two games, except you switch, I think it was Spencer Jones for Aaron Gordon. And immediately you're putting Tim Hardaway Jr. into the game. You're putting Zeke Naji into the game. You got Bruce Brown in the game, and the first quarter's not even halfway done. And to the bench's credit, they did try to restore order. Like Zeke Naji had 10 points. Tim Hardaway Jr. had 11 points. He was 2 for 6 from 3. Bruce Brown had 9 points. Julian Strother had 6 points. Other than that, Valanciunas didn't even check into the game. And the other guys, I cannot believe Deron Holmes played in this game.
I mean, that's where you really look at this and you go, I just don't know, Mark, what I don't know. I think the hardest part right now is truly just the starters, the guys that when I defend the Denver Nuggets to people that don't understand the Denver Nuggets, I think there is an unspoken truth when it comes to the Denver Nuggets and the Nuggets fan base that like we know what we've got, right? And a lot of other people don't get it. If you're not in the Nuggets fan base, you don't get it. You don't understand what it's like. You don't respect Jokic the way that Jokic deserves to be respected, right? There's certain things that only Nuggets fans understand. And I feel like tonight the fans wanted it more than they did. And that is a really, really hard position to be in. This is an exceptionally long season. It has been exceptionally extra super long for Nuggets fans because it's felt like we've been dealt some, a crappy, what is it? Dealt a crappy hand, whatever. This has been a long season emotionally, right? Like we've had a lot of highs and a lot of lows and everything in between. You're missing guys like Aaron Gordon. You're missing guys like Peyton Watson. It's really, really hard. But I think more than that, it's we still kept the faith regardless. Like we always believed in this team, and I still believe in this team. But I don't know, guys. I don't know. I think it's hard to feel positive after what we just watched, and that I think is fair. I don't think we're wrong for that. It's really hard to walk away from that game, watching what we watched, and feel positive moving forward.
Unfortunately, I made a prediction in my head today. I said it to myself.
Let me hear it.
And we chatted a little bit about it.
Yep.
After blowing the lead in game 2, after the Jaden McDaniels comments, the history between these teams, after all of it, I thought it over today. I thought to myself, this is a big game tonight. And the more the gears turned in my head, the more that I really got into the analytics and the analyzation of this, I think whoever won game 3 wins the series in my head.
Freaking A.
And it kills me to say that to everyone watching, to you, to the producers who can hear us right now, because I know they're just as pissed off as we are about this team. I think whoever wins game 3 wins this series. And Minnesota didn't just win game 3. They dominated.
My God.
Game
BTA.
3.
BTA.
They
Hashtag
they
BTA.
BTA'd.
Yeah.
We should have titled the show
BTA.
Nuggets Postgame Live.
Hashtag
BTA.
BTA.
Hashtag
True.
BTA. Now, that was my prediction. And I hope I'm wrong Prove me wrong, Nuggets.
I-
Prove me wrong.
Prove us wrong. I agree. No, here's the thing. So we've had so many conversations this season, right? Over the course of the 82 game regular season and beyond, where this Nuggets team has been, it's felt like unfairly, just when it rains, it pours. We've been unfairly poured on, okay, out here in Denver when it comes to this team. Your best guys go out, injury after injury. And not, like you mentioned at the top of the show, not one player really was left unscathed on this team, right? You were constantly battling a new injury, having a new starting lineup, pretty much having to just constantly keep going through the motions. I want to address this right here because this is absolutely the honest to goodness truth. All season long, we kept saying, once everybody's healthy, it's a different story. Once everybody's healthy, it's a different story. Once you get AG back, once you get Jokic back, once you get CB back, once you get Cam back, keep in mind, there was a point in time where Jamal Murray was your only healthy starter. And all season, we kept saying, it's different when they're healthy. It's different when they're healthy. Just wait, just wait, just wait. They're healthy. And you may say, Liv, Aaron Gordon didn't play. Aaron Gordon did play last game, though. We did, in fact, have our healthy starting five last game, and we blew a 19-point lead. So at what point do we come face to face with reality and say, they don't want it as bad as we do? I don't want that to be the case. Like Mark said, I'm hoping that the majority of us venting right here, right now is actually going to be proven completely incorrect, and we're going to look like bozos tomorrow. I want that to be true, or Saturday. I'm hoping that that's true. I'm hoping that they come out and they look like a completely different, rejuvenated, revived version of themselves. That being said, I think at a certain point, the excuses have to be out. This comment right here, we all want to see it. We all want to see Wemby v. Jokic, right? But at the end of the day, here's the truth. Not only do we have to get through this series to get to that, but the excuse, if you think the excuses are going to work right now, buckle your seatbelt. They will not work against a Victor Wembanyama. They just won't. The excuses, I think, is where I'm having a hard time, that we kind of just have to face the facts here and say our defensive identity has lacked all season. And every time a reporter maybe asked the Nuggets or people were having conversations, it was always, well, we're out this guy, we're out that guy, we're figuring it out, we're not worried, we know who we are, we're here. We're now down in the series. We're not leading this series against our absolute arch nemesis, and it feels like the momentum has completely swung now and not in favor of Denver, unfortunately. So the reality is, at what point, Mark, do the excuses go out and we kind of just come face to face with what's happening here? And that is that despite on paper us looking like a championship team, we may not be.
I think it happens at a point that none of us want to reach, and that is a first-round exit to the Minnesota Timberwolves.
I can't even fathom it, Mark.
I can't either. I cannot.
It makes me sick to my
cannot
stomach.
even begin to imagine dealing with that.
It makes me like I could throw up when you say that. Just hearing you even, first of all, how dare you? No, I'm just kidding. I can't even hear you say first round exit because there is no way. This Nuggets team, just on paper, Mark, just on paper, set aside Nikola Jokic being generationally the best we've ever known. Okay. Set that aside. On paper, this roster, technically speaking, has everything it needs. An all-star point guard, Aaron Gordon, I get it, not in full health, and that does make a difference. The best center in the world, okay. CB got his bag. He's one of the best in transition last season. I mean, you added depth. You gave Jokic a true backup center. You have Cam Johnson, high IQ, very smart basketball player.
Who, might I add, is peaking at the right time. He has looked phenomenal through these first two games. And his play during the 12-game win streak, he wasn't making excuses.
Never.
Let's talk about Cam Johnson.
Never.
He was never making excuses.
Never.
He took accountability
He
for his
did.
poor play. He turned his game around. He found his mental stride, and he's peaking. Liv, maybe that's the answer. Is Cam Johnson the answer? Is he the voice that this team needs? I could see him stepping up in that locker room.
I would love it. I want to talk about, there's some comments floating in right here, and I do want to address this. And I feel like I try to tiptoe around this because I have so much respect for Christian Braun as an athlete. And I'm so thankful for the role that he played on that 2023 championship team. And I'm so proud of him for getting his bag, right? I think that's so important for these young athletes to get their bag. And I'm so happy that he did. That being said, we have to be honest with ourselves. The money that CB was paid in relation to the performance we've gotten. And at first, we gave some excuses there, right? He was injured. He wasn't fully healthy. We were trying to kind of say, okay, he's coming back from an injury. Let's give him some time. The reality is we are not getting what we paid for out of Christian Braun. And it matters. It does matter, Mark, when you've got a guy in your starting lineup versus your arch nemesis team that is not contributing in a way. You paid him the kind of money that may stop you from being able to pay a Peyton Watson. It may stop you from being able to pay a Tim Hardaway Jr. I am not in any way, shape, or form implying that CB did not deserve to get paid. But what I'm saying is we paid him in such a way that it may stop us from being able to pay other players that have really impacted the success of this Nuggets team. And as of right now in this present moment, I feel like CB is playing below the money that we're not getting what we paid for with Christian Braun right now whatsoever.
Not one bit.
No.
And at first, that was credited to his injury because
Yes.
he did go through a sprained ankle.
That was the excuse.
And,
yes.
And there it is right there again. That was the excuse.
Excuse.
And
always.
At first, I wouldn't even call a sprained ankle an excuse. I mean, that's a tough thing to deal with.
Of course.
It's
and I will say I was getting some background noise on this. I was hearing from people very close to the source, very close to this team. CB's ankle injury, I think, was more severe than we were told. I will tell you, I know people who know people who know people who know people. So while I'm being critical of CB, I need to also let you know there was a world where CB's injury was potentially downplayed. He was more injured than he wanted people to know. And it was kind of something that when he came back and he wasn't fully himself, he was still very much working through some discomfort and some pain. So I do want to put that out there. As much as it is an excuse, it is a relatively valid one, but still, if still now he's not fully healthy, and it's hard, the pressure's being applied to every starter right now. Every guy has to pull their 25 piece right now. Every guy has to hold their own and contribute in that way. That's where we're at. When you're facing a Timberwolves team, you don't have a choice. And when you saw what Christian Braun was capable of last season, when you've seen how good he can be, anything less than that does feel like a letdown to the average basketball fan. It just does, especially on the heels of a big, fat paycheck. A paycheck so large that it will stop you from being able to afford Peyton Watson, who was mandatory this season for the success of the Denver Nuggets, and a Tim Hardaway Jr., who was also mandatory for the success of the Denver Nuggets this season. When you look at how much CB was paid, that's not necessarily the problem. When how much CB was paid could not have a P-Watt on this team next season or not have a Tim Hardaway Jr. on this team next season, that to me is where it becomes problematic, Mark, where if we paid him so much that we can't pay other guys that have made a huge impact, now it might be a problem.
Yeah, I completely agree. Because at first the injury, which to your point, I didn't even know that. So I'm glad that your people that told your people that told your people that told your people that told you gave
Yeah.
you that info. And like, I'm not an NBA player, but I've sprained my ankle. That shit hurts. That
Of
shit
course.
is not fun.
And it lingers
yeah,
very much.
but we're months removed from that. And
Yes, we are.
like, I get it. The injury's going to play a role in that, but you just got $125 million. You just got a bag.
Yeah.
Bag.
Yeah. That's a lot of money.
Like I remember seeing some tweets earlier this year, which this was these tweets were going on during the injury.
Yep.
But I'm feeling these emotions now. It was like Christian Brown sitting on the bench with $125 million while Peyton Watson's dropping 30 bombs every game.
I can't.
It's criminal.
And by the way, you guys, if you've tuned into an episode of Mood Swings before, you already know what time it is. You already know that on this show right here, we are Peyton Watson stans through and through, believe it or not. And here's the deal. Peyton Watson, I have been a large advocate for Peyton Watson from the moment that we acquired him and beyond. But what we saw from him this season was not all talk. He proved himself in more ways than one. So $125 million paid to CB is expensive, but it becomes even more expensive if it costs you Peyton Watson. And if it costs you a Tim Hardaway Jr. and you're not getting out of CB what you got from CB when you decided to pay him $125. I am not mad at Christian Brown for getting his bag, baby. I'm not. I want that for these athletes, man. I really, really do. But if it's $125 million plus a Peyton Watson and a Tim Hardaway Jr., that's too much. That's too expensive for my liking, Mark, to be honest, especially when you look at what we're getting from him. And the only reason I'm hard on him right now is he is valuable to this team. He's mandatory to the success of this team. So when he's under delivering, when you look at how much money was spent and then you look at what we're getting out of him coming off of a game 3 where we just got absolutely annihilated, I think it warrants a little bit of criticism. And I think it's fair to criticize. I don't think we're out of pocket for that. I think this is just fans that want the best for their team. And if our season ends in a very sad and upsetting way, and then we also have to watch guys like Peyton Watson and Tim Hardaway Jr. walk, I'm sick about it. It hasn't even happened yet, Mark, and I am already sick about it. Sick.
We need a Peyton Watson on our team. And the more that we talk about this, the more that I sit here and think the money that's not available, it could set us up for serious destruction in the future. I want to just go through game by game here.
Yeah.
Christian Brown, game 1, Nuggets win. They go up 1-0 in the series. 12 points, 4 for 10 from the field, 2 for 3 from 3, 2 for 2 at the line, 8 rebounds, 1 assist. I'm okay with that.
Yeah, I'm not
okay
mad
with
at that. I'm not mad at that.
But it starts to drop off significantly. Well, actually, he had 16 points in game 2.
Yep.
5 for 9, 1 for 3 from the field and the 3 respectively. 5 for 7 shooting the free throw, 3 rebounds, 5 assists, 2 steals. And then tonight. So I don't know. Are we overreacting that he's having this, that he maybe just had an off
Possibly.
Are we-
You know what? I need my producers to clip this because actually we might be overreacting, guys. At the end of the day, here's the deal, though. I think in these moments, Mark, it's fair. We're drama. We're over-exaggerating because that was embarrassing.
Agreed.
So we have to pull anything we can, right?
And if we're overreacting, I will say, I think Peyton Watson over Christian Brown in this game, I think we win.
Don't even get me started. Peyton Watson, you guys, it's not even close. It's not even a conversation. We got to stop pretending like we're debating this. Peyton Watson in this series, it's a sweep.
100%.
It's a sweep. I actually can say that with my whole chest. I can say it with my whole chest. I can pump my fist in the air. I can literally, this is not even an opinion anymore. This is a fact. If Peyton Watson is playing and healthy in this series, it's a sweep.
I completely
The Timberwolves
agree.
don't even steal one game if you have Peyton Watson playing in this game fully healthy. I'm not joking. Done deal.
We might be overreacting.
Possibly.
Whatever it is, though, we are drunk on emotions. Emotions are heightened. Speaking of emotions.
It was an emotional one.
Speaking of emotions, I'm dying to hear Jokic's emotions after
Do we
that
have
one.
Jokic's
We've got
emotions?
Jokic.
Guys, like I said, I want to just preface this before we play Nikola Jokic's thoughts following this brutal loss to the Minnesota Timberwolves, the arch nemesis of the Denver Nuggets. I want to preface this by saying Jokic is typically the last person in the postgame presser room. He beat Jamal Murray tonight. He was ready to speak. So I do think we hear what Nikola Jokic has to say.
Let's hear it after an embarrassment of a game 3. I'm hoping that there's some frustration
Fingers
coming from
crossed.
Nikola Jokic. Let's hear from him now.
Joker, what happened there in the first quarter? Your head coach just said he felt like it came down to shot making more than anything else. How do you see it?
Yeah, I mean, we kind of created open looks. We didn't make it. The physicality was there, I think, on both sides. But I think, they're making you, they're big, tall, long, they're really good defensive players. So they're making you shoot over them or just make an extra move. So they're, especially in the fourth quarter, they can make shot. So, and when you open the game like that, it's kind of hard to. Then the easy ones are not going to go either. So just really good defensive quarter by them and a really bad offensive quarter by us.
You were 5 for 16 from 2-point range tonight. There have been just some hook shots, floaters I know you're accustomed to making in this series. It feels like you've been a little short on. Do you feel like there's anything that they're doing that's affected your touch at all, or is it just kind of one of those things right now?
I mean, they're definitely, like I said, they're big, tall, long. They're making you think about it, like with stance, with contest. Give them credit. They're really good. I think that's the answer.
And then you guys struggled with some transition defense in the second quarter. It's not really something that normally happens for you. Just what do you feel like?
I mean, I think that they emphasize that. I think especially after first game, you can see that even the second game, they're kind of pushing the pace, playing faster. Don't let us set our defense, and they're just driving the ball and trying to be aggressive.
Nikola, evo, pretpostavljam već će možda i težak poraz, ali kako ste doživjeli, da li je težak ili da li su uspjeli da vas ipak iznenade? Neki kažu, znamo se, Nuggets i Minnesota, ne mogu nas iznenade, da li su ipak nešto uspjeli da urade?
Sigurno, loše smo otvorili utakmicu, teška šutersko, prva četvrtina jako loša, gde su oni uticali na to normalno, gde su jako dobri defensivno su jako dobra ekipa. Tako da vidjet ćemo kako će da sledeća utakmica.
Moving forward in the series, how important do you think it is just for you to hit more of your threes?
I mean, definitely it's going to help us, and definitely it's going to help me and the whole team. So yes, it's important.
How are you feeling physically right now?
Feeling good.
Nikola, you guys have been in this position before. Does this one feel different? And also, how did you guys get out of this and win series before when you're in this position?
I mean, to be honest, I don't remember. I remember that we came back multiple times, but in playoffs, it's the most important is the next one. So you gotta win the next one, and then we're gonna think about the future. But the next one is a really important game for us. So we need to get out there with urgency and play much better.
Does this one feel different though? This deficit?
I mean, I don't think so.
In what ways would you like to see you guys generate offense outside of the high ball screen right now?
Can you say again?
In what other ways can you guys generate looks right now outside of the high ball screen?
I think it's not just high ball screen. I think it's a splits. It's a catch and shoot couple of times. So post ups. So I think it's not just high pick and rolls.
Nikola, you said you were getting good looks in that first quarter. The shots just weren't falling. How frustrating is it when they're not going in, and how much did that frustration compound throughout the game?
Like I just said, like then you're gonna start missing the easy ones, the let's say the open ones. So, it's frustrating. Yeah.
At what point today did you guys know that Aaron wasn't going to be able to go? And was it a surprise or no?
2 days ago we knew it. I knew it. Me personally, I think.
Nikola, when it comes to your playmaking, I know you've mentioned is it just their size and length and activity, or are there other things going on there that have kind of prevented you from being as efficient as you are as a playmaker?
I mean, it's defense. They're the really good defensive team, and we couldn't make shots. And then, I think to be distributor to whatever, I need to be a little bit, not to be, but if I make a little bit of shots, then the defense is gonna react. So I think that's why I couldn't get anybody involved, because they didn't help with them. It was just a one-on-one coverage. So I think I needed to do a little bit better job scoring, and then I think it's going to open up for everybody else.
Nikola, sve neka negativna možda pitanje večeras, ali šta bi rekao da je pozitivno od ove serije do sada, imali optimizma i ono što je najbitnije, da li si ti zabrinut ili veruješ da je ovo tek početak i da imaš puno da se igra i da...
Pa sigurno sljedeća utakmica je veoma bitna za cijelu seriju. Tako da vidjet ćemo naš fokus na sljedećoj utakmici i da pokušamo da vratimo taj break što su uzeli. Onda je 2-2.
So Mark had to step away and he is no longer on the show with me. So it'll just be me kind of chatting it up with you guys. But obviously hearing Nikola Jokic's thoughts is kind of the most important, right? Because as Mark and I discussed, he is the centerpiece. He is the most valuable, no pun intended, as a 3-time MVP. He is the most valuable, the most important. He is the centerpiece of this Denver Nuggets team in just about every single way. And so when you don't have Nikola Jokic having his best night, which sounds crazy, right? When you look at Nikola Jokic's stat lines on any given night, he's always having a good night. I don't think there's ever been a time, maybe a few, I could count on one hand, the amount of times that I've looked at a Nikola Jokic stat line and been like, oh, he was off tonight. But the eye test is very telling. And so when I make comments here and there about Nikola Jokic needing to play better defense and setting the tone a little bit better for their defensive identity, and people get frustrated with me. Oh, well, have you looked at his steals and his blocks and his this and his that? It's really the eye test more than anything else, because that includes the morale, the energy, everything that I think the Denver Nuggets are lacking right now, which is just that urgency to win, that urgency to be a competitor. That is so badly what we need the Denver Nuggets to kind of figure out in a very quick turnaround before Game 4. What I felt like this Denver Nuggets team was lacking the absolute most was that urgency to compete, that urgency to win. You know, going into this matchup that you don't have Aaron Gordon. You also don't have Aaron Gordon's counterpart in Peyton Watson, which means you have to play 5 times tougher. You have to play 10 times harder, right? Because those are the types of guys that are going to give you that explosive, physical natured game. So when you don't have that, you have to compensate for that in some capacity. You also know this is your arch nemesis in the Minnesota Timberwolves, a team that has had your number for some time now, a team that knows how to beat you. They size up well against you. They are quite literally built to beat you. You know this about them going into this matchup. And yet you still kind of go through this matchup, whether you're down by 5, whether you're down by 15, whether you're down by 20. You kind of still have that same very neutral energy about you. And even still in the post-game pressers, hearing from Adelman, hearing from Jokic, a very calm demeanor this Denver Nuggets team possesses, which is fine. If that's the way they operate, I'm good with that. I'm good with whatever way they need to get right for game 4. But what I worry about is how much more can we expect them to learn from game 3 that they should have learned from game 2? Game 2 was still a loss that at one point was a 19-point lead. You led by 19 points. You lost that game. That to me should have been enough to warrant change, motivation, urgency, you name it. We didn't get that then in game 3. It was a very, very bad game. So my only hope is that this Denver Nuggets team sees in themselves what we see in them, right? I don't want a world where on paper and in conversation, this Denver Nuggets team doesn't compete or go as far as we know they can go. I think in just a moment we can have Jamal Murray and hear from him really quick in this show. I'm looking at my computer now. I'm getting texts. Blake, shout out Blake, CEO of Guerrilla Sports, is texting me, but he's also in the StreamYard, so I know he can hear me. We're going to hear from Jamal Murray shortly once we can drop it in, and we'll go from there. But I think it's important to hear from your leaders, right? We heard from Jokic. Jokic kind of, to me, had the same tone of voice that he always has in a loss, which is on to the next. No worries, no stress. We're good. We've got it, right? I think that that's kind of his energy just in life in general, which is fine. I'm not super worried about it, but I do think that what's bigger than that is that this is a Timberwolves team that we struggle against. That's the facts. The facts is we don't play well against this team. So the fact that we ever in this game, even for a millisecond, lacked urgency is frustrating. It's not even concerning, guys. I'm going to tell you right now, my feeling following game 3 is not concern. It's frustration. Because I actually know that this is the type of team that will learn from game 3. Just when things are about to get really bad, they will flip a switch. They will light it up. They will be good to go. They may get Aaron Gordon back. That is a huge difference maker. Automatic difference maker having AG back. Concern is not even the word I would use to describe myself. It's more so frustration. Because I know this team is better than what we got. I know this team is more capable than what we saw from them. I know that they care more than they showed. I know that the lack of urgency was more so them just kind of giving up on a game that they actually were still in for a good chunk of it, right? There was about, I think, 7 minutes left in the fourth quarter. They were down by 15, and I was like, they could easily win this game. By the way, I'm not sure if you guys forgot, the Timberwolves have done that to us before. we have been up by 15 with 7 minutes left, even 10 minutes left, even 5 minutes left versus the Timberwolves, and they have found a way to win. It's possible. But it's really going to take that dog, that like hungry championship energy from this Denver Nuggets team in order for them to go the distance the way that I believe they can. As much as this show was pretty negative, because frankly, I didn't see a lot of positive. You want the truth? There's not a lot of positive that I saw in this game. It was mostly negative to me. And that's not me being a Debbie Downer. That's me simply watching my favorite team and going, not a lot of things I loved in this one, to be honest. Didn't love a whole lot. if we're being completely honest. I didn't love a whole lot from this team. So it's less about me being a Debbie Downer and me more just wanting the best for this team, wanting the best for a Jokic or a Jamal who's having an all-star season. Let us not forget. And we've got Jamal's thoughts. I'm interested to hear. I think Nikola Jokic, for the most part, keeps a very even keel, straight and narrow response on things. Jamal, as of late, has given us a little bit more. So let's hear from Jamal Murray following this, what I would call embarrassing loss, considering the fact that he's given you 230 pieces in this series so far, right? Didn't have his best game tonight, was cold from the three-point line again in game 3 as he was in game 1. Let's hear from Jamal Murray, the all-star, the essentially leader of this team this season with all the injuries to this roster. Let's hear what he's got to say after this pretty brutal and embarrassing loss in game 3.
Much did you feel like this game was kind of a matter of shots not falling for you guys versus was there anything just kind of process-wise offensively that you could have done differently?
Yeah, it's tough. Nobody on the team is making shots, including myself. So I just think, the first quarter we got to have a better start to the game. And, settle ourselves down on the road and not get, because they played with a lot of adrenaline and the crowd was into it in the first quarter, and I felt like we were just playing a little too fast. And, after that quarter, the score was pretty even, maybe quarter to quarter. But, that first really hurt us. Couldn't recover from that. So it's got to be better to start the game and with a more calmer mindset, especially on the road.
Did you feel like you guys were kind of prepared for their pace especially when they were getting out and running in the second quarter a bunch on you?
I mean, we're already down 15 at that point. We got to start better. We got to start better so we have a chance to set our defense.
Jamal, David was talking about injecting physicality on the offensive side of the ball. What does that look like for you guys moving forward?
Screen setting, catching the ball lower on the floor, offensive rebounding, getting to our sets maybe a little quicker, stuff like that. I feel like if we kind of own our spots a little better and, they're playing physical, so they'll call the foul on those. We just kind of let them move with the way they wanted to and stuff like that. And, again, the first quarter wasn't great. So,
Jamal, what were the emotions with the team when you found out that Aaron was going to be able to go tonight?
Next man up. We've been dealing with it all year. So, we just had to rally the guys and put the game plan in. But, it's something we've been dealing with all year. So it's not great, but it is what it is.
Jamal, it's a pretty proud group who's been in this position before. What in the prior times has enabled you guys to kind of rebound from this and get out of ruts and losing?
Just belief. I think that's the main one. When we come together and really take it possession by possession or game by game, whatever the situation is, we normally get the job done. And that's what we got to do again. We got to bounce back mentally, come up with a better mindset to start the game, because I feel like that's the key. And then just trust each other throughout the game, So.
Can you elaborate on what goes into that mindset, of changing that mindset? How do you do that?
We're not new to it. We just got to believe in each other. Like I said, calm down on offense, bring a stronger mentality to the first quarter, understand their tendencies and know them, talk more in coverages, everything really. So that'll be our focus for the next game.
Jamal, you partially answered, but I was going to say, what was the atmosphere in the locker room afterwards? Was that the atmosphere of defeat, or was it the atmosphere, we lost one game, we're going to the next one, and we're going to be better?
No, we lost the game. I'm not thrilled, obviously, but we have to bounce back. We have another chance to regain home court. We got to come back out with a better mentality in the first quarter, and with more fight. We gotta fight more. We gotta bring the challenge to them. We didn't make shots, which is really frustrating. Nobody put the ball in the hoop for us. So that's tough. So we just got to be better.
Jamal, David mentioned that the start of this series has reminded him of the start of the Clippers series last year and how things kind of played out. What can you guys pull from the way you responded after 3 games last year and maybe use that to springboard into Game 4 here?
My answer is going to be the same, guys. It doesn't matter how you ask this question. First quarter, we got to come out better. Got to play with more physicality. We got to shoot better. We got to bring the fight to them. I don't know. That's a different question.
That offensive physicality you're talking about, just doing everything, getting into your spots, owning your spots. Does it remind you of the adjustments you guys made in 2024 when you came from Denver to Minnesota and 1-2 here, like the things you're able to do offensively to kind of turn the tide in that series?
Yeah, but we play with a lot more togetherness. You know, we have to bring that back. We have to, like I said, trust each other more within our offense, take our time a little bit. Like we were getting sped up in that first quarter, allowed them to have confidence, allowed them to get on a run, get points to the board, get fans into it. So I just think if we just come together and understand what the tempo and what the feeling is like on the road, if we can just control that, our emotions a little better, control our pace a little better, our tempo, and get the shots that we create all the time, you know, I think that's key. I think there's we got to play with better emotion, you know, and not be as rushed, you know, with their pressing and holding and grabbing. Like we got to do it back and also calm down at the same time, not let it fuel us into taking bad drops or bad shots or whatever. So, and when we settle down, believing what we do, believe in each other. When we pass, trust the pass, trust each other's shot, you know, trust each other's spacing, stuff like that. So, yeah, we'll come back with a better flow for next game.
Jamal, for you personally, in the shots you're trying to get, why was it harder tonight to spring free from that pressure? And for you, is it just shot making, or do things need to change? Screening, or?
Yeah, screening. I think screening is a big one. You know, like if you watch Gobert set screens, he's going to hit you. Like he's holding, he's going to hit you. So I think we just got to do a little more of the same, even if it results in foul calls. Like I said, just controlling that tempo a little more within ourselves. And I got to do better of just making some shots. I missed some easy shots today. I took some tough ones, but you know, a lot of them I'm not overthinking. I just got to make them, and I struggled to make them today for my team. So it's frustrating when you don't make it, and you got to think of something of why you didn't make it. So, you know, it is what it is. It was a rough game for us, everybody, and we just have, like I said, have a better tempo for next game, better mindset, and get the job done.
What have you noticed about the way that they're defending Nikola?
I mean, they're doing what they always do, you know, just kind of putting 2 on him or swarming him in the paint and stuff like that. You know, I thought some of the shots he took today, you know, wasn't like he doesn't make those every day of his life. So, you know, I've never seen him go or shoot what he shot today. That's just kind of an outlier type of game, really from everybody. But, you know, we're not worried about Jokic. You know what I'm saying? So we just got to come back with a better defensive mindset. I don't know who asked the question, but better defensive mindset and you know, be ready to go from the jump. You know, that's my answer to all you guys. Let's be ready from the jump. Let's believe in what we do. Let's trust each other, and let's control the tempo of the game.
So common theme here after hearing from Jamal Murray is that they had a slow start. I think Mark and I spent some time talking about the fact that you could tell from the very beginning of this game that they were not positioning themselves to win. And Jamal Murray kind of echoed that. He's like, listen, we got to be ready from the jump. We have to be ready from the beginning of the game moving on. So I think it's such a hard situation, you guys. I'm very critical of them right now because that was not their best work, but I also know in my heart and in my brain that this team is better than what we saw tonight and that they will be better in Game 4 in some capacity. But I also know that the Timberwolves are just a tricky little monster that this Nuggets team has had to face multiple times and unfortunately has fallen short a time or two versus this team. So it's really important that this team doesn't just kind of, you know, coast by on these mistakes and, oh, it happens. And this is what it really is about, locking in and really kind of dialing in on the things that they want to change. So it is my hope and my prayer that this Nuggets team takes all the notes, watches all the films ahead of Saturday. Saturday is not that far away. They've got one day, truly, I guess technically 2 days, but one full day to prepare and rest and get their bodies right. It is my hope and prayer that AG is healthy and good to go by Saturday for game 4. This game 4 is mandatory. If the Nuggets do not win game 4, I don't feel great about their chances in this series. I already feel like the momentum has swung in the favor of the Minnesota Timberwolves. So it's really, really crucial for this Nuggets team to get a win on the road, at least one. The Timberwolves stole one from the Denver Nuggets when they were on the road, and it's time the Denver Nuggets do the same. So it is my hope and prayer that that is what we get. But let's wrap things up for the night. It's almost midnight where I'm at. So if you're East Coast, it's almost 2 a.m. and I love you for watching this show and hanging with me and Mark Robinson. What a fun time we had tonight, despite the game being not so fun. We will actually be doing this again on Saturday. Yep. We are just getting started. Basically, when the Nuggets are on the road in this series and probably the remaining series, hopefully there's more than one. Hopefully this is not the only series they're playing in. Mark and I will be live in studio for those away games. So we'll be continuing to do this. We had a blast tonight. We'll continue to have a blast every other game. But thank you guys so much for tuning in to another episode of Mood Swings, a special edition Mood Swings episode, a post-game live reaction show following game 3. Timberwolves Nuggets, where the Nuggets unfortunately fell short and by quite a bit. Hopefully things are different on Saturday. We'll be back in studio again to talk with you, hang with you, feed you guys post-game presser clips, and chat with you a little bit following the game. So thank you so much for tuning in and staying up late with us. It's late where I'm at, so I'm sure it's late where you're at. Thank you for tuning in. I'm Liv Mood signing off for now. This has been presented by none other than Landmark Lincoln. Shout out to our friends over at Landmark Lincoln. We love you. We appreciate you. Make sure you guys head to their location off of Bellevue and Broadway to figure out why they have been the #1 Lincoln dealer in Colorado for as long as they have. I'm Liv Mood signing off for now until Saturday. We will be back again following game 4 for another post-game live reaction show. Go Nuggets always, and we'll catch you Saturday. See ya.